The room falls quiet as the United Nations Secretary-General steps forward, cameras clicking softly in the background. His expression is composed, but the weight of the message he carries is unmistakable. Journalists sit alert, prepared to hear a warning that extends far beyond diplomatic courtesies. António Guterres is here to speak not about routine developments, but about a crisis deepening in one of the most fragile regions of the world. Sudan, a country already battered by war, famine, and displacement, is now facing what he calls a terrible escalation. He settles into his seat at the press conference in Kuala Lumpur, the backdrop marked by regional flags and the emblems of international cooperation. The setting is one of formal diplomacy, yet the urgency in his tone immediately pulls the audience into the heart of a conflict happening far away in the devastated city of Fasher. The situation there, he explains, can no longer be ignored or downplayed. It has reached a point of immense human suffering. Before returning to his central message, he acknowledges the diplomatic work taking place in the region. He says, "Finally and urgently, we need solutions for peace." I commend ASEAN's efforts to ease tensions in the South China Sea by accelerating negotiations on the Code of Conduct, and I applaud Malaysia's role in facilitating a ceasefire between Cambodia and Thailand, pointing the way to the peaceful settlement of the disputes. The statement is calm, steady, but soon his tone shifts as he moves directly to Sudan. Guterres emphasizes that what is unfolding in Sudan is no longer simply a local civil conflict. He says, because the level of suffering that we are witnessing in Sudan is unbearable, and it is clear that we have not only a Sudanese problem with an army and the rapid support forces fighting each other, we have more and more an external interference that undermines the possibility to a ceasefire and to a political solution of the problem. Those listening understand the implications immediately. Outside powers are heightening the war, fueling it rather than seeking its end. To understand the scale of what is happening now, one must return to the beginning of the conflict. In April 2023, Sudan's streets echoed with gunfire and explosions as two powerful forces, once partners, turned their weapons on each other. On one side stood General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the Sudanese armed forces. On the other, the Rapid Support Forces, led by General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, widely known as Hemeti. Both men had worked together during the 2021 coup. Both envisioned themselves as the center of Sudan's future, and both refused to yield. In the early days, images emerged of soldiers and civilians celebrating after reclaiming strategic bases. The atmosphere appeared triumphant, but it masked the grim reality soon to unfold. Khartoum turned into a battleground. Dense black smoke rose over city blocks, and the sound of gunfire mingled with cries for help. Buildings burned, homes collapsed, and neighborhoods known for their vibrant street life became deserted, battered landscapes of shattered masonry and broken windows. Tanks rolled slowly through intersections that once carried commuters on ordinary days. The familiar bustle of markets disappeared. Families barricaded themselves inside their homes, unable to flee, trapped by the constant threat of stray bullets. Others risked everything, leaving with nothing more than what they could carry: a sleeping child, a bag of clothing, sometimes just a bottle of water. At port evacuation points, the scenes were a mixture of exhaustion and relief. A father cradled his baby, rocking gently despite the uncertainty ahead. Children slept directly on ship decks, too tired to speak or cry. Their journey had only begun, but their world had already transformed. What began as a power struggle soon became one of the worst humanitarian crises of the 21st century. Tens of thousands have been killed, though many believe the real toll is far higher. Millions have been displaced inside Sudan, while others have crossed the borders into Egypt, Chad, South Sudan, and beyond. Famine is no longer a warning, but a lived experience. Entire communities have gone days without food. Medical supplies have run out. Hospitals are no longer functioning. And now the situation in Fasher has reached a desperate turning point. Fasher is the capital of North Darfur, a city that has borne deep scars from previous conflicts. It was once a refuge for those fleeing violence in rural areas, but today it has become the center of the most intense fighting. The Rapid Support Forces now claim full control. If true, this marks a major shift in the balance of power in the region. Yet for civilians, control by any side does not mean safety. The streets have become unrecognizable. Families shelter wherever they can, some in schools, others in abandoned buildings, many in open fields. Aid trucks struggle to reach them. The last remaining hospitals are overwhelmed. The wounded arrive faster than care can be provided. Doctors work for hours without rest. Patients lie on floors. Water is scarce. Food costs have multiplied beyond what most families can afford. Guterres' warning makes one thing clear. Without immediate international action, the death toll could rise dramatically in the coming weeks. He speaks not only to governments, but to the world. The time for quiet observation is over. The Secretary-General describes Sudan's tragedy as something being inflamed by increasing external interference. Behind the scenes, weapons continue to flow into the conflict from multiple directions. Regional alliances, strategic ambitions, and geopolitical influence are all shaping the course of this war. Instead of pressuring the warring factions to negotiate, outside actors are feeding them the means to continue fighting. This interference has broken diplomatic efforts repeatedly. Ceasefires are announced only to collapse hours later. Negotiations begin only to stall indefinitely. The people trapped in the conflict have no say in these geopolitical calculations, yet they are the ones paying the price. The crisis extends beyond El Fasher. In Khartoum, many neighborhoods have become ghost districts. In Darfur, mass displacement continues. In Omdurman, families queue for hours in hope of securing a single meal. The conflict has also torn apart social fabric, forcing people to choose safety over identity, distance over family unity, and survival over home. Among those most affected are children. Some have been separated from their parents during evacuations. Others have lost family members entirely. Schools have closed, leaving an entire generation without education. Aid workers warn that the trauma will echo for decades. Meanwhile, as Guterres delivers his warning from Kuala Lumpur, the international community remains deeply divided. Some nations call for an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian access. Others insist on political conditions before aid can move. Some prioritize negotiations between military leaders. Others discuss sanctions. But the civilians of Sudan, facing famine and bombardment, cannot wait for slow diplomacy. The burden of the crisis is visible in every detail of daily life. In the camps, makeshift stoves burn whatever fuel can be found. Water is collected from broken infrastructure. Mothers ration food so their children can eat. The elderly rely on neighbors for survival. The ill pray that conditions do not worsen. Despite this, resilience persists. Communities organize to share resources. Volunteers create informal clinics. Local mediators attempt small-scale peace agreements to protect neighborhoods. Sudanese journalists continue to document the conflict despite the immense danger. And among the displaced, stories circulate of schools once attended, homes once lived in, weddings once celebrated. Memories become the only possessions that remain intact. Guterres' message to the world is unmistakable. Without a coordinated humanitarian response and a political resolution, Sudan could enter a stage of destruction that will take generations to recover from. The conflict is no longer localized. It is part of a wider struggle influenced by outside agendas. The human cost is rising each day. The Secretary-General emphasizes that the path forward is not impossible, but it requires genuine will. Ceasefire negotiations must be supported, not sabotaged. Humanitarian corridors must be established and respected, and the people of Sudan must be allowed to decide their future free from external manipulation and military coercion. As the press conference concludes, the cameras once again click softly. The message has been delivered. Yet for the civilians in El Fasher, Khartoum, Omdurman and Darfur, the reality continues. Their stories do not pause as speeches end. Their suffering does not wait for resolutions. They live each day hoping for the world to act before it is too late. The warning stands, the escalation is real, and the consequences will be devastating unless the world changes course now.